But I cannot keep a St. Bernard in my warehouse over the weekend. The Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals wouldn't hear of it.
Would it be asking too much?
One second.
Would it be asking too much for you to remain stationary?
Hold on, Mrs. Calloway.
I can't give you the proper drape if you insist on fidgeting.
Right there you are.
And must you have 3/8 of an inch of cuff showing? The correct amount is 1/2 inch.
Willoughby, you keep on forgetting I have long arms.
Well, that's not the point.
Give me that. Hello? No, Mrs. Calloway, I'm sorry. You must get somebody to pick up the dog by 5 today. All right, I'll ask her. Would it be too much trouble to take the darling pet home with you over the weekend? Please, Mrs. Calloway can't get back till Monday. Yes, Mrs. Calloway, Miss Carter would love to do that. Special diet? I better let you speak to her. She wants to discuss Lucille's special diet with you.
Lucille. Yes, Mrs. Cataway. I understand Lucille requires a special diet. Shredded beef with vitamin B complex added. 2 boiled eggs. Are you sure this is for a dog?
I don't think she approves.
I shouldn't wonder. Flat pockets and peaked lapels.
Yes, Mrs. Cataway.
Something wrong, Chin? All right, fellas. You win. Notch lapels it is.
Oh, thank heavens. I was afraid I'd never be able to show my face in Savile Row again. Now, if you'll just slip off the jacket, Mr. Varela.
Just a minute.
Now, please, Mr. Varela, the drape, it's only basted.
You're both sure? Oh, well. Pretty, though. Were peak lapels on her diet, Miss Carter?
No, but everything else is.
All right, put a 15% service charge on Mrs. Calloway's bill and make sure the brand isn't vintage.
2 eggheads in warehouse desire classical conversation with you.
2 what?
Eggheads. Expression used by swinging chick for mental type. You're not very hep.
If you'll speak Chinese, I'll understand you better. Let's have another try.
Professor Fletcher and Mr. Shaw from American University.
Institute of Archaeological Research. All right, show them up. Who knows? They might have some lovely old bones for Lucille here.
Well, I'll just be on my way, sir.
Thank you, Willoughby.
Goodbye, sir.
Goodbye now.
Any idea how I'm to get Lucille home?
Well, how about taking a cab? All right, I'll get Chin to drive in the station wagon.
Have you ever seen my flat?
No, never been asked, but I'm sure it must be charming.
It is, but Swedish modern is hardly suitable for a St. Bernard to loll on.
And think of the company she'll be.
I have a date this weekend.
Take her along. Your boyfriend will learn to love her.
Only if he's lost in the Alps.
Oh, by the way, look up at Professor Stephen Fletcher, will you, in Who's Who? And phone Dun and Bradstreet. I want the credit rating on the Institute of Archaeological Research.
This is Mr. Varela. Professor Fletcher.
How are you, sir?
Mr. Shaw.
How do you do? May I introduce my secretary, Miss Carter?
How do you do?
And, Lucille. Do sit down, please.
Thank you.
By the way, Professor, you might be interested in this Ojai Sphinx here. A rare piece. I'd appreciate your opinion on it.
Well, yes, of course. I'd love to examine it more closely later. However, Mr. Varela, my associate and I have a rather pressing problem on our minds at the moment that we'd like to discuss with you.
Of course. What can I do for you?
We are engaged in a confidential mission for our research foundation, Mr. Varela, and we were told that you might be able to help us.
What would you like me to do?
You are undoubtedly familiar with the recently highly publicized sheikhdom of Aldina south of Karbala in the Hajara area of Morocco.
Most certainly. I move with the times. I've already done some business there.
We want to visit it.
Visit Aldina? And gentlemen, let me illuminate you on the subject. Aldina was a hangout for thieves and assassins during the reign of Idris the Elder. All of the present sheik's ancestors were hung. He does not like outsiders.
Ah, so you know of Idris the Elder.
Certainly, the descendant of Mohammed. But his palace was near the old Roman ruins of Volubilis, which is quite some distance away, I understand.
May we be completely frank with you, Mr. Varela?
By all means.
Well, then, you must also know that the original scroll which Mohammed handed to Idris the Elder is enshrined in the mosque there.
I do indeed. But that is a sacred relic, gentlemen. The Prophet gave it to Idris after the Battle of Badr. His followers call it the Day of Deliverance. Only one European has been allowed to see it.
May we show you this, Mr. Varela?
Yes, indeed. Gerstak's drawing. Well, the Sheikh permitted it by special dispensation after Gerstak built him the Hadithi Canal, I remember.
Yes, yes, that's right. Our experts believe it to be of immense value.
Yes. Gerstak estimated the jeweled incrustations on the sandalwood casket to be close to $1 million.
Ah, well, we are not interested in its financial value, Mr. Varela. We are interested in the hieroglyphics on the case and, of course, the scroll itself.
Indeed. They were inscribed 2300 BC by an artisan named Narmorsa. 3,000 years later, it was given to Mohammed by his followers as a gift.
You seem to know a great deal about ancient history, Mr. Varela.
Oh, a hobby, so to speak.
Then, of course, you'll understand why that we as scientists are most anxious to observe the casket more closely. You see, it is very difficult to decipher the cartographs from the drawing. And, of course, historically speaking, it may be even more important than the Dead Sea Scrolls.
Indeed. But where do I come in?
We want you to obtain permission for us to photograph the scrolls.
Now, gentlemen, I have the greatest respect for scientific research, and I do anything in my power to further it. But I doubt that this is possible.
Ah, yes, but we understand that from your contacts, perhaps a word from you to the Sheikh.
As I've said, the Sheikh and I have done business already, but I must confess he doesn't regard me, nor anybody for that matter, as a personal friend.
Perhaps there's someone else?
No one I would know of.
Of course, you understand that our foundation is not one of the wealthier ones, Mr. Varela, but we do have certain funds at our disposal, and this is a major project.
Well, if you were to take photographs of the scroll, it would certainly be without the Sheikh's permission. And if he were to find out, he would cut my head off, which I value very highly.
We were thinking of perhaps offering you $1,000.
That would hardly compensate me for the trouble of walking around with my head under my arm, would it?
What would you accept, Mr. Varela?
Well, let's say $2,000 in advance, plus $3,000 when the assignment is completed. Traveling expenses would be nominal, of course. My office in Tangiers would see to that, and I would accompany you myself.
Oh, well, that won't be necessary. All that we ask of you is to get us the necessary permission.
I repeat, my present relations with the Sheikh are rather delicate. I can't risk offense. Besides, I might be able to do business while I'm there.
That is a great deal of money.
For a great deal of risk, yes.
Very well. That is, of course, if the university approves. I'll cable them tonight.
You'll never get it, Professor. $5,000 is far too much to pay for photographing a scroll.
For photographing a scroll, yes, but for opening a new chapter in history, no.
You'll be happy to know, Professor Fletcher, that Who's Who speaks very highly of you.
You mean that you've checked up on us?
Naturally, one must know with whom one is doing business. Ah, gentlemen, coffee. American, Turkish, instant, with or without caffeine?
Just as it comes.
Good.
Thank you.
I always take it without. I let nothing interfere with my afternoon siesta. Like my friend Lucille here.
When are you prepared to leave, Mr. Varela?
As soon as I get the first payment.
All being well, you should get that this evening.
Then I shall leave for Tangiers tomorrow. My secretary will arrange your reservations as well.
Oh, that won't be necessary. The foundation has already arranged accommodation.
Let us meet the day after tomorrow then, but not too early, please. My contact with the Sheikh is always at its best after dark.
Good evening, Mr. Varela, sir. We've missed you.
Thank you. Is Prince Mahmud here tonight?
No, sir. We haven't seen His Highness for 3 weeks.
I see. Thank you. Try the Samarkand, will you?
Thank you,
now.
sir. Bye.
Mahmoud here tonight?
Yes, sir, he is right there.
Thank you. Good evening, Your Highness.
Carlos, what are you doing in Tangier?
Looking for Your Highness. May I?
Of course.
Thank you.
Before you ask me how I am, let me tell you, I'm broke.
Your Highness, so early in the month?
I've enough money to last me for another week, and then I must reluctantly return to the desert.
Could you use $1,000? A scotch on the rocks, please.
Yes, sir. $1,000? I take it I would have to earn it.
I guess you could say that. 2 American archaeologists want to photograph the scroll. And I need your father's permission.
Oh, my father would never permit it.
I thought you'd say that, but I was hoping you'd have a suggestion to make.
It might be possible to arrange it without my father's knowledge, but not for $1,000.
1,500 is my limit, Your Highness.
You forget, Carlos, my father has not had the benefits of a Western education. His ideas on punishment are still somewhat medieval, even where I'm concerned.
If we get caught, I'll be punished with you. Would that help?
No, it is far too dangerous.
Your Highness, how do these girls compare to the ones you met in your undergraduate days at Yale?
Oh, New Haven girls are enchanting. But then I find all girls enchanting.
Including that one, the dancer?
Especially that one.
I agree, most desirable. But I'd imagine her tastes for presents must be rather expensive. At least to the tune of $2,000.
In cash?
Always.
You know what I like about you, Carlos? You always go directly to the point. I accept. When do we leave?
Well, I suggest you leave tomorrow to prepare the way, and we follow in a couple of days.
You know, it would be wiser for your American friends to come disguised as Arabs.
But Your Highness, they're perfectly respectable college professors.
They are Americans. And my father particularly dislikes Americans ever since they failed to find one single drop of oil in his kingdom. No, but I don't have to tell you, Carlos, the Sheikh is a very difficult man.
I know.
Nadia, allow me to present an old friend of mine, Mr. Carlos Varela.
I'm delighted. If I may say so, Prince Mahmoud is a very lucky man.
I hope you're right, Carlos.
Your Highness, luck is the one subject I really know something about. There are some chiming doorbells in the stockroom. See that they're loaded too, with new batteries.
You sell doorbells to Arabs? Thought they live in tents.
Something that is a novelty in Tangier becomes a sensation in the desert. Are the cooking stoves aboard?
Have profound second thoughts coming on this trip with you. London foggy, but not crazy.
You've been leading a sheltered life too long, Chin. Your ancestors, the Mongols, were a desert people.
Maybe, but they have Kubla Khan for boss.
Unload the luggage, would you? Good morning, Professor.
Morning. Say, what is all this?
Well, I wouldn't dream of going all the way to Aldina without a little business tie-up.
What kind of stuff can you sell in the desert?
Oh, tents, blankets, electric torches, boots, film stars, photographs. Would you like to get in?
Well, we're going in this?
Yes. Well, you can sit on your suitcases quite comfortable. Chin is a very good driver.
Man, it sure gets hot in the desert.
It hasn't really begun to warm up yet. But don't worry. We'll do most of the traveling by night.
How long do you think it'll take us to get there?
All being well, 48 hours.
48 hours.
Non-stop.
Don't be impatient, Ed. The results will be worth it. Hey, what was that?
A rifle shot from wandering tribesmen.
Oh, who are they firing at?
Not ours. But no need to fear. They're very poor marksmen. If you feel nervous, keep your heads down.
Fire again.
Stellar, Rick. It's a moral belt.
All things considered, Chin, it might be better if we drove a little faster. And remind me in future to provide all tribesmen with less accurate rifles. Gentlemen, only 2 more hours to Aldina. I think you better start disguising yourselves as Arabs.
Disguise ourselves?
Mm-hmm.
Are you kidding?
No, it's not nearly as bad as you think. Arab clothing was designed for this climate. You'll find it cool and comfortable.
I take it you're going to provide the costumes.
Naturally. Furthermore, I'll let you have it at only 5% of our usual rental fees. Here's some stain for your faces. It's a mixture of permanganate and nicotine. Applied evenly. It'll give you a nice and healthy tan. Good morning, Your Highness. I request permission to present my modest merchandise to the people of your illustrious father's kingdom.
Welcome to Aldina, Carlos.
Thank you.
It is my half-brother, Hanif. He sent a man back to say you were on your way.
I see.
Hanif, this is Mr. Carlos Varela.
Your Highness.
We had fired a welcoming shot. We would have been honored to escort you, but your caravan was too fast for us.
My loss, Your Highness.
My father has graciously accorded you an audience. He wishes to inspect your merchandise before you offer it to our people.
His approval will be our greatest asset. Thank you. All right, you lazy dogs, get on with your work. I don't pay you to stand around in the sun. Go on. Go on, get on with it. Go on. Go on. Thank you.
They don't look too friendly.
We'll have to be very careful. If they find out why we're really here, we're in trouble.
I'm glad that Varela's on our side. He's a smart boy.
Yeah, me too. I wouldn't want to be turned over to these people.
These boots are of the finest English leather, Your Majesty, made specially for the Queen of England's personal grenadier guards. Please note the extra thick soles, feel the texture of the leather, the strength of the laces, chin.
How much?
£1 the pair. But if you decide to equip your army with these magnificent boots, I can let you have 250 pairs for as little as 200 dinars, Your Majesty.
Is this a fair price for such Western boots, my son?
It is a fair price, Father.
We will have them. What next?
Thank you, Your Majesty. This, chin.
What is that?
Ah, Your Majesty, that is what the French would call a pièce de résistance, the latest device for announcing visitors. These chimes can be attached to the entrance to a palace or the flap of a tent. Would you care to press that button, Your Majesty?
The chimes. You were wise to save those chimes to the last, Mr. Varela. We are simple people and always delighted with Western ingenuity. My son, Prince Mahmoud, will arrange the financial details with you. This evening, we shall be pleased to offer you our humble hospitality.
Your Majesty.
You are as good a salesman as ever, Carlos.
Thank you, Your Highness.
But still prone to exaggeration. Those were not guardsmen's boots. They were far too small.
They're still good value for the money. Besides, if I'd been here purely on business, they would have been twice as much. Did you ask your father about the photographs?
No, it would have been a waste of time. But I have made other arrangements. Tonight, whilst my father is entertaining you, I will take the two professors to the mosque where the scroll is kept.
Will they be able to photograph it?
It is always guarded, but I will deal with that problem when the time comes.
Your Highness, you make it sound almost simple.
It will be extremely dangerous. I must ask you to instruct the professors to do exactly as I tell them. One mistake, and they will most certainly die a very unnatural death.
That'll make him obedient indeed.
And Carlos, I must have your assurance that the circulation of these photographs will be restricted to the Archaeological Institute.
You have my word of honor, Your Highness. May I take leave? Now bear in mind, if you have to make a break for it, this is the only tunnel that takes you outside to where the jeep will be waiting. Is everything clear?
Yes, we wait here until the prince comes for us, and then we do everything that he tells us.
But everything.
Right.
Where's your camera?
Here. You know, these robes were made for hiding things.
They were, 2,000 years ago. Sorry. No smoking for you. You're not supposed to be here. And you have to wait in the dark. Of course. Good luck.
Thanks.
Very nice, but get hungry 1 hour after eating.
Mr. Varela.
Thank you, Your Majesty. Thank you. Is His Royal Highness leaving us so early, Your Majesty?
He will be back. He has a surprise for us.
I see.
Where are you going, Anya?
To see if I could be any assistance to my brother.
You cannot. Be patient, my son. I hope, Mr. Varela, you like surprises too.
I do indeed, Your Majesty. Especially when they're not too surprising.
evening, Faisal.
Your Highness.
I wish you to go to my quarters. You will find 2 people there. Bring them here.
But Your
I
Highness...
will wait here until you return. You have 2 minutes. Work quickly. It is bad enough for an unbeliever to photograph the scroll, but to touch it, even I cannot permit that.
One more from this side, if I may, Your Excellency.
That is all we have time for.
Just a minute, Your Excellency. With this camera of mine, I should have a couple of pictures in no time. I hope they do the scroll justice. Could you help me for a minute, Your Excellency? Thank you. Yes, we should be able to see the results now. Let's see. Ah, there now. What's your opinion of that, Your Highness?
Excellent.
Listen,
What is it?
I think I heard somebody.
Quickly, we must go. There is little time. Go back the way we came. Make sure you are not seen by anyone. I will wait here for the guard to return.
Right, thanks. Come on, Professor.
I trust I have not been too long, Your Majesty.
I'll answer that question, my son, when I see your surprise.
I don't think you will be disappointed. I brought it all the way from Tangier.
Are you pleased to, Mr. Varela?
Oh, yes, Your Majesty. I think His Royal Highness has done remarkably well.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah.
Well then, Your Highness, it's been a most rewarding trip. I hope you're satisfied with my merchandise.
I hope so, too.
Here's my receipt and your change. Second installment, $1,000. You're welcome to double-check, Your Highness.
It is not necessary. In money matters, you are always scrupulously honest.
Thank you. Will you present my compliments to your most illustrious father and to your dancer friend? By the way, it was a small stroke of genius on your part using her as a cover.
Yes, it was, wasn't it? Killing 2 birds with 1 stone, as we used to say at dear old Yale.
Indeed. Again, Your Highness, my infinite thanks. Goodbye.
Pull up here, Chin, please.
Well, I guess we can all use a half-hour break.
Oh, I just want to get these clothes off and sit on a comfortable seat.
Yeah, any chance of getting some soap and water to wash this stuff off?
I'm afraid soap and water won't do the trick, Professor.
Well, how do we get it off, then?
Well, last time I put it on, I had to rub it off with sand.
Very funny.
Don't move. You were lucky, Mr. Shaw. Next time when I say don't move, don't.
Sorry, but those things give me the creeps.
I'll say they do. Good thing you had these clothes on.
Can't this thing go any faster?
Is something bothering you?
I'm just anxious to get to a nice cold shower.
We're just sick and tired of all this sand.
I'm afraid you'll have to put up with it for another 8 days.
8 days? You know, it took us 2 days to get to Aldina.
Oh, didn't I mention it to you? We're making a slight detour.
Why?
Well, I'm still left with a lot of merchandise, 500 cooking stoves to be exact. I thought I'd call on the Sheik of Karuf and offer them to him.
Well, how much do you think you'd get for them?
Between $800 and $1,000.
Look, Mr. Varela, we're in a hurry to get back to Tangier. I'll give you another $1,000 to forget all about that detour.
Without the approval of the university?
When they see the pictures we've got, they'll approve all right.
Okay, it's a deal. But aren't you being a bit generous with other people's money?
Well, here we are.
And 7 hours ahead of schedule, not bad.
Home sweet home, even if it is a furnished villa. I don't know about you, Professor, but I'm diving into the nearest tub.
Well, thank you, Mr. Varela, for a job well done. I'll send you a check in the morning.
Sorry, the deal was for cash.
Well, cash it shall be. Do you mind coming around in the morning to get it?
It'll be my pleasure.
Take upstairs.
No, I'll take care of that.
Chin will be happy to take it for you.
No, I'll take care of it. Thanks.
You must forgive Ed's anxiety, Mr. Varela, but our cameras are in that suitcase.
I understand.
Well, till tomorrow, then.
Good, thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Can we please go back to London now? Constitution not adapted to prolonged visit in sunny country.
Soon, Chin, soon. Just a few trifling business matters to attend to first.
You always do business in tuxedo?
When she's French and charming, yes.
Very good reason. I also find good reason. Pretty Chinese girl. Father is great uncle. Run big chain laundries. Mind if I take evening off?
By all means, take my car too, I won't need it.
Li Yong already sitting outside in car. Bye.
Hello? May I speak to Mademoiselle Anne-Marie, please? Thank you. Hello? Anne-Marie?
Who's that?
What do you mean, who's that? Carlos.
Carlos, darling.
Oh, that's better. Have you had dinner already?
No, darling, not yet.
Good. Right, I'll pick you up at, I'll call you right back. What are you doing here? Now calm yourself. You've had your fun. I'll be forced to break your arm, which incidentally won't help your career. Have a martini. Nothing like a martini to restore the spirits. Here. And don't throw it on my face. You're supposed to drink it. Come on, be a good girl. That's it. You'd be wiser to tell me why you want to kill me.
Because of what you have done to Prince Mahmoud.
I haven't done a thing to him.
Mahmoud is to die. When he has suffered enough torture.
How did the Sheik find out?
You cannot steal a tribe's most sacred possession without it being discovered.
Steal? Did you say steal the scroll?
Yes.
How long before they kill Mahmoud?
I don't know. He may be dead already.
When did you leave?
Shortly after you. Mahmoud's servant told me what had happened.
Did he tell you to kill me?
Oh, no. No, he wanted me to persuade you, one way or another, to return the scroll.
You don't have to persuade me. Wait. If I'm not back before morning, go to the police and tell them all you know. They'll find the people responsible at this address here.
But why not go to the police now?
They move too slowly. I must save Mahmoud, if there's still time.
Looking for something, Varela?
Oh, well, you did give me a fright, Mr. Shaw. As a matter of fact, I was looking for you and Professor Fletcher. But I didn't know college professors went around carrying guns.
You can't be too careful around here. I thought I heard someone on the drive.
You did? Me? Is the professor in?
He'll be here in a minute. What do you want?
I was on my way to the Tabarin. That's a nightclub, you know, the best in town. I thought we'd go and celebrate.
Oh, I see. Why don't you call us on the phone?
Out of order? You've turned into a suspicious fellow, Mr. Shaw.
As I said, you can't be too careful. You like a drink?
Yes, I'd love to. May I help myself?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
I'll tell the professor that you're here.
Thanks.
Oh, Professor! Mr. Varela is here. I'm sorry, we're fresh out of ice.
Doesn't matter. To your very good health. Do you mind if I sit down?
Oh, sure. Make yourself comfortable.
Thank you. Well, it's good to be back, isn't it?
Be better when we're in New York.
New York? Aren't you going straight back to the foundation first?
Oh, we're just stopping over a couple of nights.
Oh, I see.
Well, sorry to keep you waiting, Mr. Varela, but we weren't expecting you. Now, what can I do for you?
Oh, I was just passing and I thought, do you mind if I smoke?
Of course not. Yeah.
No, thank you. I'd rather my little old cigars. And I'll be happier with this in my hand, too. And yours, Mr. Shaw. Would you mind standing up, Professor? Well, well, well. You pack quite an armory for intellectuals. Don't, Mr. Shaw.
What's this all about, Varela?
When I arranged for you to photograph the scroll, I didn't expect you to steal it, Mr. Shaw.
Now, look, let's not be too hasty, Mr. Varela. We can make a deal.
I don't make that kind of deal, Professor. I want the casket and the scroll. Whatever your beliefs and mine might be, for those people out there, that's a sacred symbol, and it's going back to where it belongs.
You're wasting your time, Varela. It's out of the country. We sent it Air Express last night.
Really? You forget whom you're talking to. Air Express is my business, Mr. Shaw. There was no plane last night. Now, where's the casket?
You find it.
That won't be difficult. Mr. Fletcher, tie Mr. Shaw to that chair, will you?
Look, Varela, I've got a weak heart and I...
Incredible. Never thought I could do it. Now, no more games, gentlemen. Time to that chair, I said. Not too tightly, though, Professor. I abhor pain. Now, Mr. Shaw, would you like to gather your thoughts and tell me where you've hidden the scroll?
I told you, it's out of the country.
Look, we've wasted enough time already. You've placed me in a very awkward position. A friend of mine may die for what you've done.
And that's your problem.
Wrong again. That's your problem. Professor, would you like to sit down? And don't move, or the consequences might be serious. You see, one of the advantages of being an import-export agent is that when you want something, you know where to get it.
What are you blabbering about now?
Before I came here, I drove through the Arab district. I bought this. And if I remember correctly, Mr. Shaw, you don't care for scorpions?
You wouldn't dare.
No? Where's the scroll?
Don't tell him, Ed. He's only bluffing.
If there's one thing I don't like is to be underestimated, Professor. Watch this.
Get that thing off me!
Don't move, Mr. Shaw. You don't have Arab clothing to protect you now. Now, where's the scroll?
The safe behind the tapestry. Fletcher has the combination.
Okay, let's have the combination, Mr. Fletcher. Come on!
24317.
24317. Thank you. Stand up. Face the wall. Hands up now. requested ledger. 2. $3,000 plus $1,000 for not selling my cooking stoves at Karuf. And you will see that unlike yourselves, I only take that to which I'm entitled. Do you mind if I use your telephone?
Yes, I do.
In that case, I'll have to impose on you. Won't be a minute. It's only the police. Hello? May I speak to Inspector Abdul Garda, please? Abdul! This is Carlos. Carlos Varela, yes. I've got 2 customers for you. 2 most respectable college professors. In fact, you might know them already. Prevents air sickness, have one?
No, thanks. I'll put you down just outside.
An excellent precaution.
امشي.
Your Highness, I came as soon as I heard the unhappy news about Prince Mahmud.
Good. Now you can share his fate. Arrest him.
Now, wait a minute. I demand to see the seat.
You were a fool to come back.
Oh, I'm beginning to have doubts myself, Your Highness. Are you all right? What have they done to you?
I am to be punished for my crime according to the customs of our tribe.
I should have never involved you in the first place.
I should have known better myself. But I was too greedy. I knew the consequences.
You won't have to suffer much longer. Not if I can speak to your father.
Oh, you will speak to him. According to our customs, he is the only man permitted to pass the sentence of death.
Death is too good for you. No punishment that I can devise is worthy of your crime.
I knew you to be a harsh man, Your Majesty, but I also thought you to be a just one.
What do you mean by that?
You have presumed your son and myself guilty of stealing the scroll without any proof whatsoever.
I do not require proof. It could not have been anyone else.
Your son had no idea of the theft. Neither had I, although I was unwittingly responsible for it taking place.
Then you admit your own guilt.
No, I do not. If I'd stolen the scroll, would I have returned of my own free will?
Why did you come back?
To see that Prince Mahmud is not punished for a crime he did not commit.
Who stole the scroll then?
2 men I brought here, Your Majesty, but not for that purpose.
What are they now?
Back in Tangier in prison, to be punished according to Western standards.
And where is our secret scroll?
In the sky, Your Majesty.
In the sky.
Yes. Would you care to look through that window?
Have it brought to me at once.
All in good time, Your Majesty. There are 1 or 2 matters we must discuss first. The scroll is back, as you can see. As one might say, once again in your kingdom, though not quite on it. It'll return to Earth as soon as I give the signal, but if I fail to do so, it may fly away forever.
Be plain with me, Mr. Varela.
We've done business before, Your Majesty. You will agree that on both sides our word is our bond.
That is true.
You want the scroll back. I want Prince Mahmud restored to his rightful position. Not a harsh bargain, Your Majesty.
You do not ask anything for yourself?
Only to be allowed to leave as I came, and that you continue to do business with me.
What do you say, my son?
Do as he says, Your Majesty. The scroll of Islam is more important than any individual.
Release Mahmud! And now you will bring down the scroll.
My pilot is a temperamental man, Your Majesty. He dislikes crowds. He will only descend if Prince Mahmud and myself greet him alone outside.
Do not trust him, sir. He will fly off with Mahmud and the scroll.
Peace, my son. I have done business with Mr. Varela in the past. I have no reason not to trust him. He drives a hard bargain. But when you shake him by the hand...
It's a deal, Your Majesty.
A deal.
Your Highness, I believe you'll be pleased to take this to your father.
Thank you, Carlos.
It's not only me you have to thank. But for Naja here, you would not be free and the scroll wouldn't be lost to Aldina.
Back to Tangier?
No, I'd like to make a slight detour if you don't mind. I want to call on the Sheikh of Karuf. I've still got 500 cooking stoves to get rid of.